Hello. It's been a while, hasn't it? Yeah, sorry about that. I had this thing called a university dissertation happen. That pretty much took up all my time, and then it took me until now for my ADHD to actually get any motivation back. Anyways, if you're familiar with horror games over the last decade, you may have heard of the small indie game called Five Nights at Freddy's. Came out in August of 2014, and now the series has almost 30 games and over 50 books. Okay, that's more than I thought actually. Today, I want to take a look into the world of fan games and introduce you all to one of my favourite fan games, A Bite at Freddy's. Developed by Garrett McKay and released in October 2023, A Bite at Freddy's is a 2D click-and-point fan game set in Freddy Fazbear's Grill, featuring the talk show animatronics, where we work alongside the manager to test the Freddy fast food delivery machine. To give a quick outline of how the game works before we run through it in depth, A Bite at Freddy's doesn't use a traditional hour progression system. Instead, we need to confirm orders from the kitchen that are sent to the two party rooms and finally our office. And after the night, or course as they are referred to in-game, is complete, we get a very small task to do before advancing to the next one. I will preface this as well by saying that most of my footage was recorded from a save file that I had previously completed most of the game on, so a few things might look a little different than they would on a fresh save file in menus. With that out of the way, let's go course by course through this delightful little game. Upon opening the game for the first time, we are met with a typical warning screen found in many a FNaF game, and clicking proceed will result in this Freddy-like animatronic that I believe to be from one of McKay's previous games, Fredbear and Friends Left to Rot, taking out Talk Show Freddy with what looks to be a crowbar. Thankfully though, our bear friend is fine and back on stage, performing alongside Bonnie and Chica shortly after. We get a snippet of a conversation between Man 1 and Man 2, the latter of which is our establishment manager. We black out shortly after and then are taken to the menu. First thing I would like to say is that I do appreciate this game having a settings menu. It's only basic, but having a volume slider and a couple toggleable settings is still very nice, and allowing the replay of tutorials, which are this game's phone calls, was very helpful in me for gathering footage for this review. Jumping into a new game, we are met with a newspaper article, and a first look at this game's sense of humour. Earth doomed to implode? Nah, we gotta get our money up and apply for a job at Fazbear's Grill. Oh boy! Course 1. Let's get to work. We start the course with a phone call from our manager and his impressive 10-gallon hat. He introduces the concept of the game, sending food to the party rooms, then to the office, and how to confirm the order. He also talks us through some of the main mechanics of the game, the conveyor doors, the office lever, the power switch, and the toy gun, specifically stating how when the former two are in use, they will pause progress on incoming orders. Unfortunately for us, he also reveals that our tools run on a rather dodgy power supply, and if we push it too much, the system will overload and we will have to reboot before we can use it again. This first course introduces Talk Show Bonnie and that darn cowbird Talk Show Chica. It's a pretty slow start, so I'd recommend getting yourself familiar with the office and surroundings while we wait for the first of the 3 orders to be delivered. By the time Order 2 starts, the animatronics will be nearing the point where they pay us a visit. Wait for them to enter the office, or approach one of the conveyor doors and use the tools provided to prevent them from attacking. You likely won't need to deal with each animatronic more than about 2 or 3 times on this night. Wait for Order 3 to arrive in the office, and enjoy a tasty hot dog as a reward. Don't eat the flag though, that's just for Whoa! It looks like the old machinery did have a fault after all, as the bulb in the office blew up. For our post-course task, we simply need to switch it for a new one. Thankfully, there's a spare bulb nearby. Swap it out, and that's our first course done. Before we progress on to course 2, I'd like to take a very thorough look at how our first 2 talk show animatronics function. Let's start with Bonnie. Obviously, he starts in Cam 1 alongside Freddy and Chica. From there, he moves to Cam 2. Here, he has 2 possible options: Cam 9, backstage, or Cam 4, the main hall. Cam 9 is a dead end for our rabbit friend, and there isn't anything he can do here aside from stare ominously into the camera. 4, however, is where we need to start paying attention to him. Upon moving out of Cam 4, Bonnie will either go to Cam 5, the kitchen, or Cam 8, the supply closet. Should you find him in Cam 5, Close the door until he leaves. If he goes to the closet, his next move will be to our office. There's a pretty noticeable audio cue to accompany this move, which I'll play now. To make him leave, simply press the power button on the office desk and wait for the cue. That means he's gone. Bonnie can appear in 3 different places in the office, peeking out from the door to the right, and then either side of the Freddy poster on the window in front of us. These 2 spots can be a little bit hard to notice at first, so don't let him catch you off guard. As for Chica, she has a similar starting path to Bonnie, moving from Cam 1 to 2 and then to 4. She doesn't have the option to go to Cam 9, however. Once in the main hall, she also has 2 options: Cam 7, or Party Room B, or Cam 8, the supply closet. If she moves to Cam 7, don't rush to close the door right away, as she actually has 2 phases in this room. One leaning against the wall, like you see here, and the other where she approaches the door. Once you see her here, shut the door and wait for her to leave. From the closet, she'll get ready to enter the office. Unlike Bonnie though, Chica has an extra phase where she'll move back into Cam 4, standing at the end of the hallway, peeking into your office. She shares the same audio cue as Bonnie when she moves. She'll pop up to the other side of your desk, grab the toy gun, and shoot her between the eyes. Do this quick enough and you'll earn a free soda. I got 78 over my course of playing the game. Last thing before we move to course 2. I absolutely love this silly little look Chica gives you if you don't shoot her quick enough or miss your shot. It's the perfect little insult before she gives you a game over. Course 2, like the previous one, starts with a little talk with the manager over the walkie-talkie. He informs us about a new mechanic, the vent fan. And of course, this vent is right above our office. So that means an animatronic is going to come get us through the brand new Cam 10. Yay! And the animatronic in question is the titular bear himself, Talk Show Freddy. As to be expected, Bonnie and Chica are also a bit more active this night. This is also where I discovered that some of the cameras have little clickables on them, as well as the things in the office, which I love. Seeing silly little Easter eggs like these never fail to make me smile. Keep up the office defense, and soon you'll find yourself tucking into a delicious grilled cheese. Oh, and a different part of the conveyor broke, and it's our job to fix it since the manager's hat is too big to fit in the vents, and we couldn't dare make him take it off. Climb in the vent shaft and remove the remaining rusty bolts before swapping them for shiny new ones. Oh, and don't let Bonnie jump you. He appears 3 times, on the 4th rusty bolt, and after placing the 3rd and 7th new bolt. You must divert him before continuing to remove or place bolts, and do so pretty quickly. This minigame is a massive step up from simply clicking on and swapping a single light bulb like we did after the first course, and it makes me a little sad that we didn't get any other minigames of this quality, as the first time Bonnie jump-scared me here was genuinely one of the biggest scares a Fangame had given me in a long while. It also makes me a little sad that this is the last minigame we get too, as our next course is the final one of the main game, and we don't get a minigame at the end of it. But before we jump into the 3rd course, let's take a look at how Freddy works in depth. Like the 2 before him, Freddy starts in Cam 1, and then moves to 2 and 4. From here, Freddy will move to either party room, Cam 6 or 7. We'll talk about 7 first. If he moves here, we don't actually need to do anything. He'll blankly stare off into the distance for a while before moving back to the main hall. Interesting side note here, he actually blocks Chica from entering Cam 7 while there, so if you know Freddy is there and Chica moves from the main hall, she'll always go to the supply closet. Back to Freddy. Cam 6 is the wary one. From his main spot that you're seeing him in now, he'll move to one of 2 places. Either the vent or the door. Should he move towards the door, close it and he'll leave. Should he enter the vent, head back to Cam 4 and wait for him to be visible in the vent there. His next move will be accompanied with a sound cue, and that's when he'll enter the vent in Cam 10. Drop the fan to block his path and make him leave. He has 2 phases in the vent, but we want to block him in the first one as I just explained. However, if he's in the 2nd phase, we can still stop him, but at a cost. The fan will come down and chop off his head, dropping it right in your office. The headless Freddy or Heady as I like to call him, moves a lot quicker than his complete form and can be a fair bit harder to spot in some of his renders on the cameras as he's smaller and the shadows tend to hide him. This also feels like a good time to talk about the lever to your left in the office. Should one of the animatronics make it onto the conveyor through either the kitchen or the party rooms, you'll hear a loud rumble come from the conveyor opening and see the glowing eyes of the animatronic as the conveyor delivers them right to you. Pulling the lever can act as a last line of defense against them, as keeping it pulled for a few moments will scare away any critters there. Now we're cooking. It's time for course 3, and another new mechanic on the menu, the camera refresh. This is used to scare away the newest addition to the roster, Talk Show Foxy, who thinks the pretty coloured cables backstage are a tasty snack. While this course starts off a little slow, by the end of it, it can get quite overwhelming. Having to keep track of 4 animatronics is no easy task, especially when you'll now also need to keep an eye on your power load, as if multiple animatronics decide to attack at once, that can put quite the stress on your power. Keep a cool head, zap the cheeky fox, and soon you'll have a lovely burger to chow down on. We'll have a look at how Foxy works in more detail before we continue. Foxy's stage is in the thus far unneeded Cam 3, and will rotate with a very noticeable sound cue. And by default we'll move to Cam 2, then Cam 9, hungry for some tasty cables. However, similar to Freddy blocking Chica like we covered in Freddy's section, Bonnie being in Cam 9 will prevent Foxy from entering backstage. Once he eventually makes his way inside, Foxy will slowly approach the cables before attempting to bite down on them. He has 3 phases in this room, one facing towards the cables, the second has him move closer, and the third and final has him lifted up on the desk, about to chomp. Refresh the cameras once he's on the 3rd phase to stop him from breaking them. If he manages to get his snack, you'll have to enable the backup power, which puts the camera on the same rickety power system as the other tools. This is something you very much want to avoid happening, as the cameras will eat away at your power load very quickly. Successfully defending yourself from the Fiendish Fox, however, will give you one of 2 results. He'll either be sent out of the room, repeating the cycle of him going to bite the cables again, or he'll be staring directly into the camera. If this happens, prepare yourself. He'll rush directly to Cam 4 and then Cam 5. Shut the door if you see him in the kitchen, as should he get through the door, he is very difficult to stop. While Bonnie, Chica, and Freddy give you around 10 to 15 seconds to flick the office lever to stop them, Foxy is significantly faster, giving you only about 2 or 3 seconds instead. While it is still possible to stop him, it's best to use the door instead of risking the conveyor, since you'll already have a handful of other animatronics to keep an eye on. And back to the game. Our manager tells us to meet up with him and thanks us over a bowl of ribs for our help. Ribs are the worst food offering in this game, fight me. You might think that this is just a still image, but soon this awful garbled sound will come from our right, and an ominous bear will come into view before we fade out and go back to the menu. Spooky. So that's our main game. Only 3 courses, and honestly, I think I prefer that to there being 5. When making a fan game, you can expect people to have played, or at least watched someone else play, the original source material, so people will go in with some level of understanding of how your game will work. While A Bite at Freddy's does still have a good number of differences from any Defend the Room FNaF game, at a base level, it's still the same. Push buttons to defend yourself from the spooky robots. One of my biggest problems with a lot of fan games is how much their first night can drag if you're already familiar with how the game plays. And McKay's choice to only put 3 nights in the main game completely eliminates this problem. Course 1 feels about as difficult as a typical game's second night, which while still being relatively slow paced, doesn't feel like it drags. Course 2 ups the difficulty by adding Freddy, but doesn't feel like a massive spike, and Course 3 brings the hectic tension that your typical Night 5 will bring. This game is incredibly well paced and doesn't overstay its welcome. Anyway, back to the game. Spooky Bear. We're put back on the menu and greeted by this game's Night 6 equivalent, the final course. And oh, sorry, I just found out this really cute little munchie tries to eat your cursor when you click near it. Okay, sorry. Focus. Final course. We start the course like any other, with a walkie-talkie chit-chat with the manager, who tells us a little bit more about the restaurant. It was in its prime until the bite. You know, that famous time when a kid went up and bit Fredbear? Yeah, sure, that sounds about right. Since then, he's just sat gathering dust and wearing down. So, Threadbear, as he's now known, God, I love this game, is our addition for this night. We're told about how the conveyor can get jammed, a nice development of the office lever mechanic, and a reminder to refresh the cameras. Like a lot of Night 6s, this final course adds what I like to call an Omnitronic. Threadbare can do most of the previous mechanics we've seen thus far, however he also does them slightly differently. So let's take a look at how Threadbare works. He starts in Cam 2 with the same cue as Foxy, meaning his stage is rotated, although when he appears on Final Course, he has a much more distinct sound cue that I'll play now. From there, he'll either go to Cam 4 or Cam 9. Should he go backstage, you'll get a warning on the camera map. Refresh the cameras to get rid of him. Failing to do so in the time won't force your cameras onto the backup power, but will render them useless until refreshed, and you'll get this amazing visual of Threadbare on the monitors in your office. Once Threadbare makes it into the main hall, there's a lot he can do. From his neutral pose, he'll switch into one of two other poses, either looking at the wall under the vent or looking at the vent itself. If he's looking in the wall, he's preparing to move into one of the party rooms. Shut the door of whichever he moves into. Failure to do so will result in him jamming the conveyor. Use the office lever to fix this. If he's looking up at the vent, his next move will be to climb into it, which is a wonderful alteration to how we've seen the vent used thus far. Once you hear the same sound cue as Freddy moving into Cam 10, along with Threadbare's signature static noise, he will be there. Drop the fan and block his path. Now, you may be wondering where Cam 8 comes into this, and honestly so was I at first. From what I can tell, Threadbare will only go to Cam 8 after you kick him out of either party room. He can't do anything while there, but searching the cameras and not finding him in any of the spaces he usually likes to play has made me think that I've lost him and about to get a jump scare before. Threadbare has a lot of possibilities, but since you'll likely be checking the places he goes quite frequently anyway, due to the other 4 animatronics, he doesn't feel overwhelming. I also really like that while the methods used to defend yourself against him are the same, the consequences for failing to do so are not. It really helps keep the gameplay loop feeling fresh, instead of making him feel like a carbon copy of a previously introduced animatronic. Threadbare feels a lot more like an environmental hazard rather than a direct threat. He disables cameras and the conveyor without breaking them or attempting to jump scare you respectively. While his vent mechanic is similar to Freddy's, he enters the vent from a different starting point, and I appreciate McKay giving him a couple of different stills in Cam 4, depending on what his next move will be. Mechanically, Threadbare is absolutely my favourite character in this game. Once we keep track of the 5 of them long enough to clear the course, we get to enjoy a delicious looking ice cream, before cutting to a short clip of Talk Show Freddy making his way out of the restaurant, and a newspaper stating that the animatronics have gone missing. I love this little article. The restaurant is still going to operate without them? How? We don't have Chuck E. Cheese over here in the UK where I live. Hi, Editing Fox here. Literally, 2 days after recording the audio for the script when I'm editing this, I get recommended an article saying that Chuck E. Cheese is coming over to the UK. Okay, back to it. But I imagine seeing the mascots there was one of the main reasons of going. I think that as a kid, if I went to the Pogger's Rat restaurant and didn't get to meet him, I'd be pretty darn upset. One other thing. I absolutely love the little photos of the animatronics living their best lives that we get in the credit. Foxy's face here is really funny to me. He looks like 5-year-old me coming home from school and showing my mom the silly art I did in school that day. He's such a silly guy, I love him. Before we take a look at the game's bonus content, I'd like to introduce you all to a little friend of mine. She's going to ask you a few questions about the game to make sure you've all been paying attention. She did great, isn't she wonderful? And how did you, the viewer, do? Help me in the comments below, and while you're there, maybe give that a subscribe button a push? Okay, enough of that. On with the video! Like most FNaF games, A Bite at Freddy's has a custom night and a series of challenge modes. Normally I wouldn't dwell on these for too long, but my god, I think these challenges are the best part of the game. So we're going to take a look at them one by one. Before I get into them though, I do love that the little loading screen for the course changes based on who you have active. That's a very neat touch. Anyway, basket hunt. Find misplaced food baskets around the building. You'll be facing off against Freddy, Bonnie, and Threadbare. Up to this point, we've only seen knights have 3 order baskets, going from party room A, B, and then to your office in turn. This ups it to 5, but does decrease the time it takes to prepare and send each basket to not make the night drag. The catch is, due to the manager putting a paper bag on his head, the baskets are sent to random cameras, so you'll have to time your moment well to shift your focus from the animatronics to finding each basket. The locations baskets can spawn are as follows. Cam 1, land against Freddy's desk. 2, upside down on the closest table to us. Cam 3, land against the wall to the left of Foxy's stage. Cam 4, near the entrance of Party Room B. Cam 8, on the 3rd shelf, up near the toilet roll. And Cam 9, on the empty Bonnie head near the wires. The 5th basket will arrive in the office, but won't be in the usual spot. Once you locate it, tuck into the delicious grilled boot. That's not even a food. Someone please take that bag off the manager's head. I really want another grilled cheese. Haunting Roulette is our second challenge. The animatronics can haunt our tools. We'll be up against Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy. In this mode, you're given a small taser to help protect yourself if you hear one of your tools start buzzing. Although there is a very obvious visual cue that pops up to tell you which tool to zap. The 3 tools that can buzz are the power button, the toy gun, and the fan. If you don't get the visual cues, defend yourself as usual. If you do see them, then get zapping. I love the goofy animations that Bonnie and Chica do when you zap them. And the thing that makes this mode my favourite, if you try to use a haunted device, it isn't the respective animatronic that jump scares you, but the device itself. This had me in stitches the first time I saw it. Being jump scared by the power button or having the gun turn around and pop you in the face is the height of McKay's humour in this game. And they even get custom death screens. It's fantastic, it's silly, and I love it. Oh, basket jump scare. The 3rd challenge is Cold Kitchen. The heating in the building has gone down and the cameras are freezing up. This challenge sees us against everyone but Foxy, which makes sense considering how this one works. Developing on the camera refresh mechanic that we should be familiar with by now, Cold Kitchen makes it so we'll need to periodically refresh the cameras throughout the night to prevent them from freezing up. You'll need to time your moments right and refresh when you know it isn't going to cause more harm than good. If the cameras freeze up, you can still refresh them to get them moving. Animatronics won't appear to move on the cameras if frozen, but sound effects still happen and you still have access to the vent fan and the door buttons. Ooh, snow cone. Beware the yellow one? Thanks for the warning. Fourth up is Out of Service. We'll be against the main four, so no Threadbare again this time. While Haunting Roulette added challenge by adding a new mechanic, Out of Service takes one away, removing your ability to use the conveyor lever that has previously acted as our last of line defense. By doing this, it ups the ante by making it so we need to keep a much closer eye on the doors, as an animatronic making it onto the conveyor is a game over. It is a really well thought out challenge, and I like the cute little puppets you get as a reward for it. Lunch Rush is this game's first real challenge. All the animatronics are set to 10 difficulty, and we have 7 rapid orders to get through. The first 6 alternate between the party rooms, and the 7th comes to the office. Keep an eye on your power load here, as going into an overload is very likely a game over, as at this difficulty level, having the brutal 20-second reset time without any of your defense tools gives the animatronics enough time to pile up and all ambush you at once. I was seconds away from dying on the run I beat this challenge on. The clock you get is something that I very much want to put on my wall, and this is a nice difficult challenge to whet the appetite ready for full course. The 520 mode. Get ready for Freddy and friends to serve up a quintuple helping of chaos in this incredibly hectic mode. While it might seem no more challenging than the 510 mode we just played for the first minute, after that, this gets chaotic. Don't overload the power, keep Threadbare off the conveyor, listen out for animatronics coming into the office, and make sure that damn fox stays away from those cables! We'll draw this to a close by having a nice look through the extras, which gives us a good look at the animatronics, environments, posters, and some development screenshots. The animatronics each have such wonderfully charming designs. McKay absolutely nailed the talk show aesthetic. I think Bonnie has to be my favourite. He's so charming with his cigar and martini glass, although I really do love all of them. It's also nice to see the rooms without the static filter and the camera overlay. It's a very small inclusion, but I'm glad it was added. The posters are all charming, and development screenshots are always welcome. I really do like this scrapped Threadbare render though. I wonder where he was going to be used. That's all the extras have to offer, so I'll take a moment now to talk about some of the things that I couldn't find a place in the rest of the script to put. First, I just want to praise how fluidly the 5 animatronics work together. The main 4, Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy, all share the ability to attempt to get onto the conveyor. Bonnie and Foxy through Cam 5, Freddy through Cam 6, and Chica through Cam 7. But they also each have a unique method of attack too. Bonnie requires the power button when in the office, Chica the toy gun, Freddy comes through the vent, and the darn fox noms the cables and ruins my day. Threadbare slots in very nicely into this loop by developing on each of these attack methods with different outcomes should you fail, as I touched on earlier. I also just really like this game's humour. From the disappointed look Chica gives you if you miss the shot, to the power button jump scare, this game has some nice light-hearted moments throughout that I really appreciate. With all that said, you think this would be the part where I'd end the video, but there's actually one last challenge, harder than anything else in this game. But we already covered 520 mode, right? We covered the preset one, full course, which eases us in at the start, and only really has all 5 animatronics at 20 difficulty for the second half of the course. By manually setting the difficulties to 20, we unlock a whole new challenge. Constant chaos from the moment you load in. This is the true 520 mode this game has to offer. Rapid fire animatronics across all 3 courses. Beat this, and you have truly mastered this game's mechanics. In case you're wondering, I did beat it. It took me about 5 hours to beat everything in the game, but that wasn't from a first playthrough. I understood how the game worked going into it. Oh, and beating this true 520 mode gives you an adorable little Threadbare plush to complete the collection. And with that, we are finally done with a bite at Freddy's. Below, I've left a link to the game on GameJolt and itch.io for you to check it out for yourself, and a link to McKay's website in case you want to check out his other projects or just take a look at his work. Of course, if you did enjoy this video, then please do consider giving it a like, and leave me any recommendations for fan games that you'd like to see me cover in the future. I don't want to cover only FNaF or horror games though, even if I am a cross between a glamrock animatronic and a Vivzy Pop character. The next 2 videos I have planned are both not about horror games at all, and if you want to see more from me, please subscribe and check out my Twitch where I stream a couple times a week. That's all from me. I have been Foxy. You guys have been amazing. Much love, and good night.